Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back for another week of Crossing Line with Dev. We got a lot of actually good news to talk about this week. We have MLB Playoffs. Let's go. We have NFL Week 4 just wrapped up. We're into Week 5. The Thursday night game is tonight, which obviously the episode comes out on Friday, but for me, it comes out tonight. So, let's start off with a little bit of MLB news because this is kind of exciting. Let's kind of talk about what's going on with the MLB. So remember, the Tigers on an absolute downfall. The Cleveland Guardians end up making it into the playoffs. So the Tigers are 6th seed, Cleveland Guardians are 3rd seed, and Detroit ended up beating them. I was not expecting this. Look, we're going to kind of go over each series and how it's going so far. Some of the games are still ongoing. Some of the games have not been played yet because for me it's Thursday. But Detroit absolutely sends the Guardians home. And it was all because of literally a walk-off home run by a guy named Dylan Dingler. Dylan Dingler, go ahead home run in the 6th inning, and Javier Baez leadoff double to ignite a 4-run 7th that led the Tigers out of the House of Horrors. 6-3 win on Game 3. 6-3 win. So that means, unfortunately, look, this isn't going to be that great of a series, but we get a Seattle Mariners and a Detroit Tigers ALDS playoff game. Now let's go to the other series that has already wrapped up, and I think that we all could have guessed this. If we all had $1 million, we would have played this, but the Dodgers absolutely walked all over the Cincinnati Reds. Like, it wasn't even close ever in any of the games. You know when it was close? Inning 1 before the first pitch. I mean, Ohtani in that first game just absolutely cranks one like 500 feet. And that ignites a 15-run game by the LA Dodgers. The Reds had a little bit of a comeback late in there with 5 runs, but still, the Dodgers smoked them in Game 1. I mean, absolutely walked on them. Then in Game 2, you got Ohtani and Yamamoto on the mound, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check just to make sure. But when I was looking at it, okay, so yeah, Yamamoto ended up pitching in that game, which means they're saving Shohei Ohtani for the NL Wildcard Series, in the NL Division Series, and he'll be playing Game 1 against the Phillies. But let me say this, this series wasn't close with the Reds and Dodgers. I think we all could have guessed that. They ended up just absolutely walking all over them. But let's go over the Padres Cubs for the next series. In Game 1, we had the Cubs, the Padres, and we had Pivetta versus Boyd starting pitchers. And it was kind of a very defensive game, honestly. I mean, 1 run scored through the 4th. Then the Cubs made a comeback and scored 2 runs in the 5th and 1 run in the 8th to end up winning the game 3-1. But for most of that game, I mean, up until halfway through the 8th inning, it was 1-2. The game ended 1-3. There was only 4 hits from the Padres, 6 hits from the Chicago Cubs. So the Cubs took Game 1. And then we go back to where the Padres play the Cubs in Game 2. This is Dylan Cease versus Shota Imanaga. Imanaga. Sorry, it's a kind of a hard name to pronounce. But it was also kind of a defensive game. I mean, the Padres absolutely shut him out in the entire game. The Padres scored 3 runs, 2 in the 5th and 1 in the 1st. And the Cubs didn't score a single run. But that means we set it up for a Game 3. And that game is currently ongoing as I'm recording this. They're in the top of the 7th right now. The Cubs are up 2-0. Now let's look at a couple of these stats. You have Yu Darvish on the mound, so he's already let up 2 earned runs. He only pitched 1 inning. And then you have Jamison Talion, pitched 4 innings, 2 hits, 0 earned runs. So it's looking like a pretty defensive game. Top of the 7th, the Padres still have the ability to come back. I bet on the Cubs to win this game. I just think for whatever reason, the Cubs just feel actually really good to me. They have pretty decent hitting, but they're a very defensive team. Good pitching staff, all of that. So we're in game 3 right now, top of the 7th. I think the Cubs are going to come out with the win in this one, but we shall see. Maybe by the end of the podcast, the game will be over. Probably not, but let's go over to the series that everybody's been talking about. So, game 1 of the Red Sox and New York Yankees. You had Bayo on the mound for the Red Sox, and you had Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. Immediately in the first inning, the Yankees cranked to get 2 runs. Second inning, no runs scored. Third inning, the Red Sox make a comeback. They scored 2 in the third inning. Fourth inning, no runs. Fifth inning, the Yankees made 1 run. Immediately in the top of the 6th, the Red Sox score a run. So at this point, it's 3-3 in the game. Oh, you know what? I apologize, guys. That is the second game of the series. We might as well finish it. But then in the 8th inning, the Yankees ended up scoring 1 run and winning the game 4-3 because the game ended 4-3 in favor of the Yankees. But in game 1, when you had Crochet on the mound for the Red Sox and Max Fried on the mound for the Yankees, the Red Sox came out hot again. In the second inning, after no runs had been scored, the Yankees scored 1. There was no runs up until the 7th inning. Then the Red Sox got 2 runs on the board. No runs from the Yankees at this point. And then in the 9th inning, the Red Sox scored again to win the game 3-1. So this game is currently tied. I mean, Boston versus New York, it can't get better than this. I'm sorry I'm not good at explaining and making this exciting, but I promise you, playoff baseball is one of the most electric sports I have ever watched. I mean, ever watched. Can you imagine the chills of being in Dodger Stadium, game 1 of the wildcard series? Shohei Ohtani cranks one 450 at first at bat. That place must have been roaring. The Detroit Tigers, from the downfall, all of a sudden make a comeback in the playoffs. And now they made it past the wild card and beat the Guardians. The Padres Cubs tied 1-1. And then you have not only 2 of the most important cities to American history coming to play in a wild card series. The Red Sox come out game 1 and just absolutely surprise everybody and win game 1. Their pitching staff is incredible. Then the Yankees somehow muster up the strength and tie it. And now we're in a 1-1 series wild card game. Game 3 tonight at 5 p.m. my time. Who's going to take it? Who is going to end up playing the Toronto Blue Jays in the ALDS? Now, if I had my luck, it would have been Boston, New York in the ALCS because that would have been more electric if it was 7 games. But unfortunately, they met in the wild card spot. And not only that, on the other side of the board and the NLDS, you have the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm talking, my apologies, guys, but you have the Philadelphia Phillies. Castellanos, Nola, you got Trey Turner, you got Kyle Schwarber, who's up for the MVP, Alec Bohm, Brandon Marsh. I mean, I'm a little bit of a low-key Phillies lover, but Bryce Harper against the Dodgers, guys. I mean, do I even need to name Dodgers players? We all know who they are. Ohtani, Yamamoto, Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, Freddie Freeman, Hyosung Kim, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, their lineup is insane if you really look at it. Tyler Glasnow. Like, their first 15 players are, like, absolutely known guys. And so are the Phillies. This is going to be an incredibly good series. I really wish, the only thing I wish is that it was in the NLCS. But Dodgers Phillies, NLDS, game 1, Saturday night, you got Ohtani on the mound, and he's going to be batting. He's the greatest athlete we have ever seen. And then on the other part of the NLDS, whoever the Cubs and Padres, whoever wins that series, goes and plays the Milwaukee Brewers, who have shocked the world this year. Somehow made it to the number 1 spot because their pitching staff is just absolutely shutouts. And then you got the Cubs, who I think is going to make it, or the Padres. This is turning out to be, I think the NLDS looks a little bit more exciting because you have a Dodgers Phillies game 1. Now, I don't know how many of us think that the Detroit Tigers and Mariners is going to be that great of a series. I mean, I think the Tigers could take 1 or 2. I don't think it's going to be a 3-3 game 7 series. But still, I mean, just to get the Phillies and Dodgers this early, like, it's insane. I think whoever wins out of that team is going to go to the World Series. But still, playoff baseball is exciting. It's electric. It gives chills. There's no moments like it. I mean, I'm not a baseball watcher all season. I'm not. But when it comes to the playoffs, I try to watch every single game because this is where you get the I watched highlights as a kid and got chills and wanted to be an athlete. This is where all those highlights come from. I mean, I'm talking home runs to win it, bat flips. I'm talking shutout pitches. I'm talking diving, and the way that they broadcast it is insane because when something crazy happens, you get to hear the roar of the fans. Walk-off home run, all you hear is before you hear the announcer start talking about it. If you're not a baseball fan, try watching the playoffs, and I think it'll change your mind at least a little bit. Now, eventually, I'll get better at explaining and talking about the MLB games, but especially with this Philly Dodgers series going on, I just hope it's a good one. I love my Dodgers. They're my favorite team, and I do slightly like the Phillies, but I just want it to be a good series. That's all I care about. I just want any of these series to be good series. I hope the Detroit Tigers Mariners series is a good series. I don't think it will be, but I do hope it is. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe they're saving Ohtani. He was supposed to pitch in that second game. I'm surprised that they're keeping him until the first game of, after the wild card series. Now let's get into this week 5 stuff because I think there's some pretty big week 5 NFL news going on, but we'll talk about the NFL. We won't talk about every game like I usually do. We'll talk about the big important games, the ones that mattered the most, or the ones that were most exciting. So Thursday night, I made the podcast and recorded the podcast prior to the Thursday night football game going on. Now I can't remember what I said, but I'm pretty sure I thought that the Seahawks would win this game, but they didn't cover the spread. They didn't, because this was an exciting game. I mean, the Seahawks were up 14-3 at halftime, and then all of a sudden the Cardinals made a comeback to almost take it to overtime. If it wasn't for their kicker not being able to kick it past into the landing zone, he kicked it just short of the landing zone, which put him at the 40-yard line, and so they only had to get 10 or 20 yards to kick a field goal. But the Cardinals had a comeback, and they almost won this game. And if it wasn't for a kicker missing the landing zone by a couple feet, I think this game would have at least went into overtime. Now, I'm not saying the Cardinals definitely would have won, but Kyler was dishing at the end. And Marvin Harrison had a crazy catch in that game. Then we had the Steelers-Vikings in Dublin, Ireland. And the Steelers looked good. Aaron Rodgers looked absolutely like 2016-18 prime Aaron Rodgers. And DK is a monster. I mean, that guy is fast. Fast. Isaiah Rodgers of the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken, got recorded the fastest an NFL player has ever been recorded during gameplay at 20-something miles an hour. And he was chasing DK. He came from DK catches this slant. Aaron Rodgers rips the smelling salts, takes the snap, drops back, dishes an absolutely perfect slant play to DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf catches it, runs to the left and right down the sidelines. And Isaiah Rodgers comes all the way from the end, from the other side of the field, and just sprints across, and you see him almost get to DK. But he was the fastest ever recorded player, and he was chasing DK. Steelers sneak out a win in this one. Vikings still almost won this game. If it wasn't for Carson Wentz doing Carson Wentz shit, where he just does shit that isn't unexplainable, dumb shit that's unexplainable, the Vikings could have won this game. But they didn't, and the Steelers snuck one out in Dublin, Ireland. Chargers, Giants. Remember, Jackson Dart was starting this game. Jackson Dart starts this game. Dable, I'm assuming, gets forced to sit Russell Wilson and say, we need him to be out there. They do. Giants start off hot, get a touchdown early in the game. Chargers come out in the second quarter, score 10, but the Giants still scored 2 field goals. So it's 13-10 at half. Now remember, I don't think any of us thought that the Chargers would have lost this game. None of us thought the Giants would win this game. I thought that they had at least a spark to keep it close with Jackson Dart being on the field. But I don't think any of us thought that there would be an upset in this. In the third quarter, both teams scored 8 points. In the fourth quarter, no team scored any points. So that ended up meaning the Giants won 21-18. Jackson Dart and Dable are freaking hugging after the game, jumping and hugging and screaming and getting excited. Jackson Dart didn't really have that great of a game. 13 for 20, 111, 1 TD. Herbert had 2 interceptions. Omarion Hampton looked good. He had 12 carries, 128 yards. That's 10 yards, over 10 yards a carry. 1 touchdown. Scatterboo, 25 carries for 79 yards. That's like 3 yards a carry. Not great, but he's a spark to that offense. And Jackson Dart did a little bit of running too. I mean, let's see. He had 54 yards rushing and 1 TD. But the big news in this game, unfortunately, it sucks, but Malik Neighbors went down with a knee injury. He has a torn ACL, so he'll be out the entirety of the season. For a player that has proven himself to be one of the best wide receivers in the league, that hurts for anybody, for any team, for any fan of football. Nobody wants to see that. I hope he has an incredible recovery. I hope that he comes back and is the same player he was before. I just feel incredibly bad that Malik Neighbors went down with that disgusting injury. Torn ACL out for the season. It sucks. It really does. Sucks for fantasy owners, for Malik mostly, now for the Giants and for Jackson Dart, because Jackson Dart's going to be starting games without Malik Neighbors on the outside right or left to back him up. I hope he has an incredible recovery, and nobody ever wants to see that ever again. Now let's go on to the next exciting game. We had the Eagles-Bucks in the Sunday early morning game. Not early morning, but like in the earlier morning games. Eagles came out hot with a punt return, or like a punt block for a touchdown in the first quarter. You had Sidney Brown scored that touchdown for a block punt. Then you had the Goddard shovel pass from Jalen Hurts to score. So the Eagles are up 14-0 on the first quarter. Second quarter comes around. The Eagles score again. Dallas Goedert gets another touchdown, 5-yard touchdown from Jalen Hurts. Eagles are up 21-3 at this point. Then the Eagles get the ball back in the second quarter, go down, hit a field goal. They're up 24-3. And right before halftime, the Buccaneers score a 65-yard field goal to make it 24-6. Emeka Egbuka, Baker threw an absolute dime to Emeka for 77 yards to start the third quarter. So at this point, it's a 77-yard touchdown to Egbuka, 24-13. Saquon Barkley in the third quarter gets a 6-yard TD run, and now it's 21-13. 21-13. Sorry, I don't know why I'm going through all these like exact stats. Bucky Irving ended up having a 72-yard touchdown. It's 31-20 at the end of the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, field goal by the Buccaneers. Now it's 31-23. 31-23. The Eagles somehow, someway, not only performed well early, but they also ended up letting kind of a comeback happen through field goals, through a couple TDs, and Baker Mayfield once again had the opportunity to go down, win the game for his team with 3 minutes or less. I mean, let's be honest. Baker looked good this game. 289, 2 TDs. He had 1 interception. Jalen only had 130 yards and 2 TDs. I think there's something to be said that the Eagles might be 2-2 if it wasn't for their punt and their punt block and their field goal block. They might be 2-2. Sorry if you guys hear that in the background. They're doing the flooring in our house right now, so they're kind of scraping down everything. But I think there's something to be said that the Eagles are not as good as maybe they're made out to be with their record-wise. Their offense hasn't performed incredibly well. It's kind of looked slightly vanilla. Their defense has done really well, but they've also given up a lot of points. Their defense has done well on pump blocks and field goal blocks and all that stuff, but their defense has let up a lot of points for a defense that probably should have shut out to only field goals in this game. To give Baker the ball back with that much time left on the clock, they could have lost this game easily. They could have easily lost this game. I think the Eagles need to look deep down and say, yes, we're winning, but we're not doing everything we can be doing. Jalen was their leading rusher. Saquon didn't have over 50 yards. Jalen Hurts only had 130 yards, throwing the ball. It's all based on where they're getting the ball back, like how good their field advantage is and how good their defense is playing. But there's also something to be said that A.J. Brown's not happy right now, guys. A.J. Brown is not happy. He's not happy right now. He wants to have the ball. I think every receiver wants to get the ball and wants to feel like they're doing more than they're doing at the time. But he's putting subtweets out on Twitter and Instagram and all that saying like, I'm not happy, but I don't need to say anything out loud type shit. He's not happy. A.J. Brown wants the ball. The Eagles haven't had to throw the ball a lot. And so, unfortunately, you're left in a position where you have an unhappy wide receiver, a team that is winning, but a team that also kind of behind the curtains doesn't look all that incredibly well. Maybe this is me just being an Eagles fan, but they got lucky in that Rams game, guys. Field goal blocks don't happen often. They unfortunately happen to the Rams. They give the ball back to the Buccaneers with 3 minutes left after going up like 24-3 24-6 at halftime. And all of a sudden that game ends within 6 points. Like, what the hell are we doing? I just think the Eagles need to look deep down and need to perform better on offense and need to stop letting up so many points on offense. They have had a hard schedule so far, but still, we can't be doing that. I don't think the Eagles are a 4-0 team. They've just gotten lucky and they ended up 4-0. I still think they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I just don't think they're the best team in the NFL currently with how they've been playing. Patriots absolutely mollywalked the Panthers 42-13. Drake May looked good. He did the celebration. He was out there doing the Cam Newton celebration and everything. Lions shut out the Browns. Jaguars upset the Niners by 5 points, 26-21. Colts-Rams game was actually a really good game. And if it wasn't for Matthew Stafford hitting Tutu Atwell for an 88-yard pass for Matthew Stafford with 1:33 left to make that game 27-20, this game would have been probably went into overtime. And unfortunately, what sucks the most is that Adonai Mitchell ended up having like a drop. Daniel Jones hits him on this pass. He goes running all the way to the end zone. It's like a 50-plus yard play or whatever it was. And right before the end zone, I mean, not even a yard before the end zone, he dropped the ball and it fell out of his hands, went out of the back of the end zone and ended up being a touchback. If that didn't happen, this game would have been 27-27 going into overtime. I think this Colts team is definitely one of the best teams in the NFL. The Rams looked really good in this game, but I think that the Colts should not put their head down. They should keep doing what they're doing because they are an incredibly good NFL team right now. They have all the talent in the world, offensive and defensively. They look really, really good. Daniel Jones has looked incredibly well too. He did have 2 picks in this game, Jonathan Taylor looked really good. Adonai Mitchell looked good outside of that dumb-headed drop ball causing a touchback in the middle of the game. But this Colts team could definitely be a 4-0 team right now. Unfortunately, they lost this one, but that was a really, really good game. Raiders. Bears almost got upset by the Raiders, ended up squeaking one out, making this game 25-24. The Chiefs absolutely smoked the Ravens. We should be worried about the Ravens. Lamar's hurt. They have not looked good. I mean, not looked good at all. Derrick Henry was not their leading rusher in this game. Patrick Mahomes threw 4 TDs, hasn't done that since like 2023 or something like that. Xavier Worthy was their leading rusher and receiver. He only had 38 yards rushing, which means they didn't really run the ball at all. Or if they did, they didn't get a lot of yards. But Lamar's hurt. He's going to be out a couple weeks. He's got a hamstring strain. And the Ravens defense looks like shit. So does the Ravens offensive line. Now, some part of me deep down still feels like they're a team to be you need to watch out for them. They can go on a run. They have the talent. They have the players. They have the QB. They have the coaching staff. But their defense looks shit. Their defense looks absolutely garbage. Lamar didn't look good in this game at all. He only had 147, 1 TD, and 1 interception. He played the rest of the game. Didn't look all that hurt, but he ended up having a hamstring strain after getting looked at by the doctors, and he'll be out for a couple weeks. But I don't know if this is a holy shit, the Chiefs are back moment, or if this is a guys, we should be worried that the Ravens may not even make the wild card playoffs. They're 1-3 right now. 1-3. The Chiefs started off 0-2 and now are 2-2. We need to be worried about these Ravens. They might not make the playoffs this year. And I don't understand what went wrong. They lost one defensive tackle to a neck injury all year. And now they look like the Titans. Like, they don't look good at all. I know they've had an incredibly hard schedule. They played the Bills. They lost to the Bills like in a crazy game-ending way. They lost to the Chiefs. I mean, the Ravens need to take a look in the mirror and need to do something about this. They are way too good to have this bad of a record. I hope Lamar gets healthy and I hope he's 100% when he comes back. But this is not good, guys. We need to be worried about the Ravens. Pat Mahomes looked like just absolutely phenomenal on the field like he always usually does. Having Xavier Worthy back out there again was probably awesome for them. Travis Kelce, had 5 yards, 48. Kareem Hunt had 34. Pacheco had 35. Like, they even threw out a backup QB in this game because it was over so early. Hollywood Brown had a TD. Isaiah Pacheco had a TD in the past game. But the Ravens, they might not be a playoff team, guys. So if you made a bracket, you're Packers-Cowboys. Packers-Cowboys. Sorry, guys, my computer is being a little fuzzy, but Packers-Cowboys. We expected that the game for Micah Parsons to come back to Dallas. Remember, they were talking about, are they going to make a video for him saying thank you for playing for us? They didn't, because he hasn't been playing in the league that long, and it was kind of weird and it ended weird. But I think all of us expected the Packers to come out here and just work them. Just absolutely work them. Packers come out hot, get a TD in the first quarter. Dallas Cowboys didn't score in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, the Green Bay Packers get outscored 16-6. So going into halftime is 13-16. Cowboys are up. Third quarter, both teams score a touchdown. At this point, it's 20-23. Then that's when I stopped watching the game. It was 20-23 in favor of the Cowboys. Because it was late Sunday night and I work nights, but the Packers ended up scoring 17 in the fourth quarter, hitting a field goal, and the Cowboys ended up scoring 14 in the fourth quarter, and they ended up going into overtime. Then in overtime, both teams scored a field goal, and ended up tying this fucking game. This game ended up tied. What the hell are we doing? The Packers should not have lost this game. Dak looked like prime Dak in this game. 319, 3 TDs. Javonte had a shit ton of yards rushing. George Pickens had 134 yards and 2 TDs. I mean, there was no defense played at all. Micah Parsons, one of the best defensive players, goes to the Green Bay Packers, who have a pretty good defensive team already. We expect this team to go out and just shut out an offense that has lackluster talent. But they don't. They just let up a bunch of points. The Packers, fortunately for them, scored enough points to take this to overtime. Jordan Love had 337, 3 TDs. Josh Jacobs had 86 yards and 2 TDs. But the Packers absolutely, like, what are we doing? How can you come out here and let the Cowboys walk all over your defense, mind you, and then to go into overtime and tie this fucking game? And then we have Jerry Jones coming out and saying, look, we let Micah Parsons go, and all of a sudden we tied the game. So I guess it really wasn't that bad of a trade after all, was it? He's happy about a fucking tie. He's happy about a tie game, guys. That's how much faith he doesn't have in his Dallas Cowboys. He knows they don't have the fucking talent. They don't have the talent to go all the way this year. The Packers probably do. They have the quarterback. They have the coaching staff. They have the wide receiver core. Now they have Micah Parsons on their defensive line. And then all of a sudden they go out and blow this fucking game. The Packers are 2-1-1. I'm not even a Packers fan and I'm upset. How can you let this happen? How can you let this happen? This actually does make the trade look good. Because you get Michael Parsons on your team, then all of a sudden your team lets up 40 points, looking like the Cowboys when Micah Parsons was on the Cowboys. You can't be doing this. You cannot be tying a game 40-40 after making that defensive trade. I think there needs to be slight worry about the Packers in this situation too. They had a couple good games this year, then lost to the Browns and tied the Cowboys. That can't happen. That cannot happen. They're way too good of a team to do this. It's like the Ravens. They're way too good of a team to have a record like that. The Packers should be at least 3-1. If not 4-0, if they didn't blow a fucking lead, blow a shutout game to the Cleveland Browns, and then tie a game 40-40 in overtime to the Dallas Cowboys. Dak looked good. George Pickens looked good. I just don't think the Cowboys are as good as the Packers. And somehow, some way, they tied this game up. So that's how the Sunday night ended. Then we had 2 shitty Monday night games. Dolphins get a win, end up getting a win, beat the Jets 27-21. And then the Bengals with Jake Browning just get worked. They get shut out. The Broncos looked just unstoppable. 28-3 was the end score. The Bengals head coach says, I have no worry. I have so much faith in Jake Browning. Even after the struggles, I have faith in Jake Browning. But when your defense looks Bo Nix looked like the best quarterback in the league, there's an issue. He had 326 2 TDs and 1 interception. J.K. Dobbins looked like the best running back in the league with 16 carries, 101 yards. Do any of us think Bo Nix or J.K. Dobbins are the best in the league? I don't think so. T. Higgins had 32 yards. I'm sure T and Jamar Chase are sitting there like, what this series, like this season's gone. What are we doing this for? What are we doing this for? 2 of the best wide receivers end up on the worst team. But this is what happens when you pay 50% of your money to 3 players. And when that QB gets hurt, and all of a sudden Jake Browning is your starting guy for the foreseeable future, you're fucked. Joe Burrow's got turf toe. And so now we have to watch Bengals Monday, Sunday, Thursday night games where they're not even good games because their team sucks without Joe Burrow. And I'm pretty sure they're a Christmas game too, so be excited for that. Thursday night. Actually, kind of an exciting game, even though it probably shouldn't be. We have Mac Jones helming the 49ers. This is week 5, so we went over all the week 4 games. Week 5, Mac Jones, 49ers, Matthew Stafford, Rams. Now, the games, every time the Niners play the Rams, it always hits the under. It's weird. It's like most of the time it hits the under. So look out for that. But I think this is kind of exciting. I think that the Niners I think it's an 8.5 point spread. I think the Niners can be within that. I think they can make this game close. I think their coaching staff is too good. They have enough talent to do it. And if the Rams make a couple mistakes, I think the Niners could keep this one close. Now we have another overseas game Sunday, October 5th, 6:30 a.m. Vikings Browns. Dylan Gabriel starting this game, guys. And I think what is exciting about this is that it's mostly about the news about Shadir. Because it's like, well, if Dylan Gabriel is now the starter, does that make Shadir Sanders the number 2 guy? Does that mean they'll end up eventually putting him in, see how well he does in the NFL? I'm not sure. They keep filming him like he's the number 1 QB. I'm sure it's upsetting Dylan Gabriel, but Dylan Gabriel has been a professional this entire time. Now, I think Stefanski is kind of on his way out. Joe Flacco's looked like shit. The Browns have looked like shit. Their defense is fucking immaculate. Their defense is incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. Their defensive line is like one of the best I've ever seen. Taking on the Vikings with Carson Wentz, I think the Browns could win this game. I think a spark of having a recently drafted QB could spark the Browns to have some offensive efficiency. And I don't trust Carson Wentz at all. Kevin O'Connell is amazing, but I don't trust Carson Wentz. So I think the Browns could keep this one close, if not win this game. Now we have the Cowboys Jets. I think the Cowboys will win this game. I don't think this is a good game to talk about. Cowboys will probably win this game. Another not great game, two teams that have not performed well so far this season, Saints Giants. I think the Saints are competing to draft number 1 in next year's draft. And I think Jackson Dart gives a little bit of spark, a little bit of energy to that team, and I think they could win this game. Raiders Colts. I don't think Geno's looked all that great on the Colts or the Raiders this year. I don't think the Raiders have looked good in general. Ashton hasn't looked like the back that he was drafted to be. And the Colts are too good of a damn team to lose this game. I see the Colts covering whatever the spread is in this game. Dolphins Panthers. Oh, what I forgot to talk about in the Panthers or the Dolphins Jets Monday Night Football game. We lost Tyreek for the season. Tyreek had a horrendous knee injury. We lose another great player to an injury. And so the Dolphins not only suck this year, absolutely suck this year, but now they don't have Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's out all year. And it was weird because when he's get driven off the field in the cart, he's like, yes, yeah. I don't know if he was like saying thank you to the fans or if he was like, fuck this season. But Tyreek Hill's out for the season, guys. That sucks. That sucks for fantasy owners. That sucks for NFL football lovers. That just sucks. But they do take on the Panthers, and I think that this game is probably going to be not great. Low scoring. Maybe the Panthers cover whatever the spread is because I'm assuming the Dolphins are favored in this game. I do think the Dolphins should probably win this game. But yeah, next Sunday game we have on the slate is the Eagles-Broncos. Another kind of difficult game for the Eagles. The Broncos are good defensively. They don't make a ton of offensive mistakes. I do think that the Broncos aren't as good as the Rams or the Buccaneers, but I do think that the Broncos could give the Eagles a little bit of trouble. Let's see how the offense performs this year after all the A.J. Brown drama and him being upset that he's not doing much. And let's see if the Broncos come off hot after that Monday Night Football game. I think the Eagles should win this game, but also me being an Eagles fan and being pessimistic, I can see them somehow losing this game, and then I have to hear about all week how the Eagles aren't what we thought they were. Ravens-Texans. No Lamar Jackson. The Texans have sucked. I don't know who the backup for the Ravens is currently, but the Texans with CJ Stroud, I think it's time to talk that maybe he hasn't been the QB we thought he was going to be. He took his team to the playoffs that one year, and then all of a sudden they've been nothing. I think the Texans should win this game if Lamar's out with how bad the Ravens defense has been. But I can also see the Texans blowing this one to a backup quarterback. I think the Texans will win this game, though. Titans-Cardinals. Remember, Titans are 4-0, Titans are 0-4 after losing to the Texans 26-0. The Cardinals barely lost that Monday Night Football game or Thursday Night Football game to the Seahawks. I think they should be riding high after that game. I think that the Cardinals are just better than the Titans in this aspect. I think that Kyler can put up points on the Titans defense. And I feel bad for Cam Ward because he's just looking like a bust. And I think he's a good quarterback. But unfortunately, the Titans just don't have very good offensive talent. I don't think they have a great coaching staff. And the Cardinals are too good coached, have too good of players to lose this game. Next game on the slate is the Bucs Seahawks. This might be a good game. Seahawks are a little bit better than I expected them to be this year. Seahawks defense looks pretty good. Jackson Smith and Jigba has looked like a number one receiver. Baker Mayfield has had the comeback of a lifetime. Underdog. We love underdogs on this channel. I can see this game being like pretty close and in the 20s, like a 27-24 game. I think that both defenses let up to a little bit too many points. Both offenses put up more points than you expect them to. But I think the Bucs are good. I think the Bucs are a pretty good team. Seahawks are solid. I'm not sure if they might be in that wild card playoff spot, maybe. But I think the Buccaneers are the better team in this aspect, and I think they should win the game. We get a Sunday afternoon game, Lions-Bengals. Lions might end up beating them 50-0. Bengals suck. Jake Browning sucks. Sorry. They have no offensive line. They have two great wide receivers and nothing else. The Lions have all the talent in the world. The coaching staff looks like the coaching staff of last year. They're coming off hot streak after hot streak, killing the Ravens, winning last. Like, the Lions just look too good. They might beat the Bengals 50-0. Commanders Chargers. Now, I'm not sure what the injury status is going to be of Jaden Daniels this week. I'm going to look at that real quick. So we do have Terry McLaurin out, which sucks. That sucks for the Commanders. I want to see if Jaden Daniels is going to be playing this week. Okay, so he will be playing this week against the Chargers. Chargers coming off a loss to the New York Giants. Commanders getting Jaden Daniels back, no Terry McLaurin, which sucks. I think this will be a good game. This might be the best game on the slate. Honestly, this might be the best game on the slate, if not for the Bucs Seahawks or maybe even Broncos Eagles. But Commanders with Jaden Daniels versus the Chargers, who just came off a New York Giants upset, this might be a game to watch. Sunday afternoon at 1:25. I think Jaden Daniels, no Terry McLaurin. Jaden Daniels, I want to see what the spread is for this. Sorry, guys, I'm going to go on FanDuel real quick and just check out the sports book. See what the NFL slate is looking like. Okay, so for the Commanders-Chargers game, the Chargers are favored 2.5 points. So it's pretty much a pick'em game or a field goal game. Jaden Daniels is back, over under 47.5. Chargers have a good defense. They're solid offensively. They don't make a ton of mistakes. But it's hard to contain Jaden. And if he's completely healthy, I think the Commanders could squeak out the spread in this one. If I had a gun to my head, like, I would probably bet the Chargers in this instance. But I think the gambler in me wants to bet the Commanders spread in this one. Very good game on the slate. I think the Chargers should win this game, though. There's a bit of injuries for the Commanders, all that. Sunday night football game, not a good one. Bills, Patriots. We have Drake May. We have Stephon Diggs in the return to Buffalo. I think the Bills are just too good of a team to lose this one. I think it's a division game. It might be closer than whatever the spread is. The spread is at 8.5 points. I think they could keep it close in this instance because it's the Patriots and it's a division game. Drake Mays look pretty good. I still think that there's no way the Bills lose this game. Not a good Sunday night football game. I don't know why they scheduled that one. And then another Monday night, not great game. Chiefs-Jaguars. Jaguars coming off a win against the Niners, barely. Chiefs coming off blowing out the Ravens by like 1 million. Hopefully, if this means the Chiefs are back with Xavier Worthy back on the field, there's no way the Chiefs lose this game. But if the Chiefs perform like they did in week 1, The Jags could upset them. The spread is currently at -3 in favor of the Chiefs, so they think it's going to be a closer game than expected. Let's look at the player status in this game. Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked all that great. Travis Etienne Jr. has looked great. Ryan Thomas Jr. hasn't looked as good as he did last year. And Travis Hunter, they just haven't been utilizing him the way they should be. They haven't been utilizing him in any good way. He's kind of played some offense. What they should do is make him like full-time cornerback and then give him some easy offensive packages and let him play both sides of the ball. But he just has been kind of looking like a mid-tier player at this point. It's no Shohei Ohtani out there yet. But this could also be because they're not utilizing him the way they should be utilizing him. I still think the Chiefs will win this game, this Monday Night Football game, and because Patrick Mahomes is so good. He's probably the best player ever. But yeah, not incredibly great slate of games this week, guys, but that's what happens when they're scheduling games. We got Eagles, Broncos, Bucks, Seahawks, Commanders, Chargers. It's kind of it. Nothing. I mean, Niners, Rams might be a decent game tonight for the Thursday night game, but yeah, that's about it, guys. That's the NFL news. Let's go look at the MLB games real quick just to see what the status of the games is. So it's the end of the 8th. Going into the 9th, Cubs are up 3-0. So it's looking like the Cubs are going to take on not Toronto Blue Jays, but the Milwaukee Brewers. And then we have the Yankees, Red Sox tonight. I want to look at the pitching staff real quick. Red Sox, Yankees game pitchers. So it's looking like Cam Schittler will pitch for the Red Sox. The Red Sox are starting Connolly early, and the Yankees are starting Cam Schittler. So we're looking at a 2.33 ERA versus a 2.96 ERA in the starting pitchers. Look, I think we all see that there's some negatives when it comes to the Yankees. But if one of them cranks 1 yard, it's contagious. If you give up a home run to any of these players, unfortunately, it's getting taken yard by multiple people. It's contagious for them. If Judge hits one, everybody's hitting one. But if the Red Sox play good defensively, if their pitching staff throws out some good pitches, and they keep this one close, that's when it gets nerve-wracking for the Yankees. When it's a close game and they need to hit singles, get on base, that's where the Yankees make mistakes. I still think the Yankees are the better team, but the Yankees, I've seen blow way too many playoff games for me to have faith that they'll absolutely win this game tonight. But yeah, it looks like the Cubs, unless the Padres have an incredible 9th inning, it's looking like the Cubs are going to the NLDS. So that's it for today's sports news. Sorry, it's a little bit rushed today. I got called into work tonight, so I kind of had to rush this episode out. So I'm kind of like jumbled and all over the place. I love that you guys still watch and that you like all of the clips and all that. And I'm going to be doing this every week. I hope to have somebody on soon that wants to chat with me and talk about sports. If any of you guys want to talk about sports and want to join me, all you need is a phone, a camera, a mic, whatever, just something to record you and to record your audio. And we will chat about sports all freaking day. We'll talk about sports, betting lines, anything you want to talk about. So that's it for today's episode, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Watch the MLB playoffs. It's fucking incredible. You can't go wrong watching the MLB playoffs. We have NFL Week 5 coming up. Not a ton of great games, but I hope all of your teams win. I hope all of your fantasy teams win. And we'll talk about more NFL and MLB news next week. And I hope to have a little bit better of an episode. Not so much jumbled talking, not so much noise in the background of the people doing the flooring. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys again later. Peace.